All right, we call to order as of 4:06. I'm actually taking, notes this time. Really think we should elect a secretary because I am failing miserably at this.
We can put that on the next agenda.
So, all right. So present is Rob Jeffers, Paul Kearse, Beth Tarpey, and Mary Hines.
Perfect. Great. Well, thanks everyone. I'll just quickly introduce the first item on our agenda. We have Mike Ahern, who is the property owner of 502 North Main Street. It is a parcel located near the MBTA station, sort of across the street next to where the golf course is. The property itself is an existing two-family house in a residential district, and Mike had approached the town with some interest after hearing about the recent MBTA multifamily housing legislation, thinking that that parcel could be sort of part of the solution, knowing that any sort of zoning change that might come of this is quite a bit away for a while still. Mike sort of approached the idea of perhaps a friendly 40B development, which is the sort of process that we have used to permit affordable housing at 390 CJC Highway, and also most recently we're working through it with 808 Jerusalem Road with the Habitat project. So I thought that it'd be a great opportunity to bring Mike in and show his sort of begin to talk out his proposal concept with all of you, because what we would do in sort of this scenario is, if the town wants to partner on a local initiative sort of program with the state, we would, agree our select board would sign off as a co-applicant with Mike, and then we would move forward to DHCD to get the eligibility determination before it would come to our local zoning board of appeals. So that's the sort of permitting process that would unfold. But before we get into any more sort of detail on that, I'll turn it over to Mike to introduce himself and give you an idea about what he's looking to do. So thank you again.
I just have one question before we start. I know you had sent out the plans for it, which I did review. Has this already been in front of the planning board and conservation?
No.
Okay. So this is just a beginning concept.
Correct. And Mike did meet with myself, John Hallen, and Cassandra Thayer in terms of staff component to sort of give him sort of the gist of what we'd be looking at. And then we'll get into the more detail there. But before he starts to work out really the fine-grained details of what he needs to do to meet zoning, parking requirements, et cetera, he wants to get a sort of general idea of which direction to go because there's some flexibility there. So I'll leave it to Mike.
Good afternoon. I purchased this property with the intention of building a couple of single families, but due to the location of the train station, we've had very little interest. So I was looking for an alternative development plan. And when I saw the MBTA, I was in a meeting in Needham, and in Needham, they were presenting, the MBTA authority came out and said, we're looking for more housing options close to the train stations. Then they released that article, which I read, which led me down a road to call Lauren and say, we might have an opportunity to do something here on this site, being right directly across from the T. And so now I'm at a stage where we've done a study. We looked at the land. I believe you have the plan in front of you. Do you have both plans, Lauren? Do they have both plans?
They have the site plan of the first one. They didn't get the one. I apologize. I didn't have an opportunity to send that to them as well.
So the main focus of the plan is that we have the opportunity to do a septic system that can contain 40 bedrooms. So what I was looking back from the steering committee was, what are the needs of Cohasset, and what would you envision as the ideal project? And this would be a for rental project. Is that need 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom studio, 3 bedrooms? And that's why I wanted to have the meeting with the steering committee to get a better sense of what that would be, so that we can develop a site plan that works right for the town and for the needs of the steering committee.
So I took a look at the plans, and it looks like you're going perpendicular to the property there. It looks like a common drive that you would be using to the house that goes to the Colonial down back, right?
No, that driveway is separate. That has nothing to do with me.
Okay. Yeah, I was just looking at the plans on how they bought it, because I think that house is for sale now as well, right? That other Colonial.
One back?
Yeah.
No, that's sold.
That's already sold. That's already sold. Okay.
Yeah.
So just where that brown cape is right now, you're going to put in 5 or 6 units?
No, originally what our plan was to do 2 units. But after reading the article with the T, we decided to go for a much more dense project.
Right, so the plan that I looked at, it looks like the building is along that driveway, if you will, and it looked like there was 5 or 6 car spots. Is there 5 or 6 units going in there?
Okay, you only have one of the plans. I'm looking at the other one. Hold on.
I'm gonna bring up both. I can screen share.
Okay.
Just give me a moment.
Yeah,
That was a 12-unit plan that you're looking at.
okay,
currently. But that's about the footprint size we can work in.
yeah,
And the second footprint Lauren's going to share with you is a little bit bigger. But the main focus is that we can achieve 40 bedrooms.
Mhm.
so
Could be like
how many units is that? Is that, you're looking at 12 units?
No, we're not looking at anything specifically currently. That's why we wanted the meeting to find out what the need was.
Okay.
I originally had talked to Lauren and John about a 41 bedroom, 55 and over, but we don't believe we can meet the parking requirements.
Mhm.
So that would get shelved. So it's 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. So it doesn't matter if it's a 1, 2, or a 3.
Mm.
Right, so you obviously have limits to what you could put in on the property. So are you saying you could put in 10 to 12 units and it would equal 40 bedrooms or 30 bedrooms, or what is it you think you could put in?
I think we could do, one of the breakdowns we had this morning was 4 3 bedrooms,
Mhm.
8 2 bedrooms. So that's
Okay,
that brings us up to 16, 28.
Yeah.
8 1 bedrooms, and then 4 studios. But the question is there a need for 4 studios? Is there a need for 3 bedrooms?
Mhm.
What steering committee see as the need for Cohasset? I mean, there was
Well,
talk about,
personally, I if you're going to be doing rentals, it's obviously we, as far as affordable housing goes, we have the 25% have to be deeded affordable for contiguous units, and then we get credit for all of them. So it's really, Beth can talk to you about the market, but it's really a market decision, I would think, where you're required to have so many of them permanently as affordable, though the town would get credit for all of them because they're rentals. So it's really a business decision for you, what the market will bear, because you can get market rate for the ones that are not deeded.
And the thing is, but I think I understand what you're asking, is that we did do a housing production plan. We did look and, see what the community was looking for. We kind of call, there's 2 different, we have capital A affordable housing, which is the stuff that's deed restricted, but also looking at lowercase a, what's affordable. What we found, I believe, with that, and Lauren, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was in general, there is some desire for senior housing in the sense of there are individuals who want to stay in the community, but they have these large homes that don't necessarily make sense anymore. We found, I think, this is maybe not as scientific, but a little bit, sure Beth can talk to this. A lot of those I would say would be 2 bedrooms, because even if they don't have the need for both of the bedrooms, it sounds like a lot of them want to have the 2 bedrooms. The other area that we saw we're really lacking in is workforce housing. So there you're probably going to be more in the you could have some of those individuals, but probably a little bit more of like families, and if you're looking at the people that are working for the town and things like that, that tends to be more of like a family type, or the teachers or things like that. We didn't find that there's a big, there were discussions on what about people who are just graduating college and, grew up in Cohasset, and like for like the 1 bedrooms in the studios. And the general consensus was they don't want to live here. It's like that they want to go live in Quincy or something where, more stuff is going on. So we didn't see, a big demand for that. But there are 1 bedroom units, around town. And I think Beth can talk to that as well, that are definitely selling, but that didn't bubble up in our affordable housing aspect, because we were looking, more for our focus is much more on how to get affordable housing and who needs the affordable housing. And so a young single professional probably doesn't need affordable housing, so it wasn't probably as much of a focus for what we would look at.
What do you feel like you need a workforce housing is?
I think that would be more the 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Also, like Rob's saying, young families and things like that maybe couldn't afford to buy, but would love to live in town. Are you picturing townhouse style here?
No, the flats. If we go to, we'd have to do underground parking, so it'd be flats.
Underground. Oh, okay. Because that's what I was wondering. When you talk about the over 55, they definitely want like a first floor. They want, 2 bedrooms, first floor, master bedroom. Most of them have, and then like a loft and a bedroom upstairs. But if it's all on one level, then you wouldn't have to market it as an over 55. It could be anybody would go
Right.
in, which I think is would be a good approach, because like 100 Pond Street and Wheelwright, the condos have a strong market, but they're open to anybody. So there are some younger families in there. It does skew towards older people, but this would probably appeal to older people. They'd probably be looking for the 2 bedrooms mainly. Some might just want the 1 bedroom, but I have the feeling the 2 and 3 bedrooms are probably.
I think it depends on if they're on a fixed income, where their levels are. I mean, so the affordable component, and I've only done one other 40B, and that was some years ago down in Marshfield. Back at that time, was 80% of the mean income is the level.
That's what it would be today. The same. Yep.
Okay. Do we know what those? Do you have a rate sheet for 1 beds, 2 beds, 3 beds?
Yes, I have a recent rate sheet that I could share with you from some of our other units. I want to say like ballpark for a 1 bedroom right now is like 1,800.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah,
and
if you go on to the what's that? The thing that starts with an A?
Avalon.
Avalon. Yeah, if you go to Avalon, they have they have 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, affordable rate sheet there. I'm sure that's all right.
Actually, good luck finding it online, because ever since they came under new ownership, I can't find it, and I've been contacting them trying to get it on the website. But I have the information that I can share with you. So,
but it is deed restricted, right? So it's there forever.
Mm-hmm.
yes.
So what is your affordable need in the town? Do you have enough people to support it?
Yes.
Oh, we definitely have a need for it. And we always need more, because every time they build a new home, it kind of goes against our housing count. So
Right.
we will always need it.
When they do a for sale project, you only get the 25%. And then that's offset by the amount of development they did. So it's really no net gain for the town.
Yeah.
Right. And what we're seeing is the people who are interested in affordable housing in town, the wait lists are so long. So there's definitely a need to continue to provide additional actual deed restricted affordable housing, in addition to, just having the rental product, because we just are so dominated by single family home here.
And how come has the town looked at doing an affordable project?
I'm sorry, you broke up for a minute.
Has the town looked at doing 100% affordable projects?
So
We have not seen that before.
Okay.
So Avalon was our first big project, if you will. And I think 20% of those are deeded affordable for us.
25.
25%. Okay.
Yeah.
Our actual affordable units, and those are floaters. They don't isolate a particular unit. So those are just floating units.
Okay. But that's not That's not a rental property.
Correct. So we
is.
have, like Stop and Shop Plaza, they have units going in there, and they're going to provide, I think, 4 or 5 of them as affordable. And there'll be specific units that are affordable.
Yeah, I actually thought that under 40B, all of the ones had to be deed restricted per unit.
No,
I
so
never-
the Avalon development that came through was actually what basically got Cohasset over the 10% threshold, because we hadn't previously been. So that did come in initially as a straight through 40B. Eventually it was sort of negotiated down to be a friendly 40B, and it was through the town. But they
Okay.
are 25% of those units are deed restricted affordable. Because they're rentals, we do get a full count for all of the units on site, but actually only 25 of them are the deed restricted.
Right.
25% of them, sorry, there's more than 25.
And you get to, as the builder or property owner, you get to decide which units are the actual ones that are affordable.
Right, so it could be fixed or floating, that would be up to you.
Right, but I think it has to be, the way the law reads is that it has to be an equal amount of square footage.
They need to be comparable, that's right.
Yeah, you can't make 2 of them 10 by 10 and then make the rest of them,
do
a couple of, yeah.
Do a lot of affordable housing in the city.
Yeah.
So I know the rules. And we're just finishing up 31 units now with 6 affordables.
Yeah, so our actual situation is, so we were at 10%, how many ever, from the last census, not this current one. But one of the challenges we have, it's not really 10%, right? You got 10% in the housing stock because you get to count all of Avalon, even though only 25% of it is there. So the needs there from actual people that want it is really only 3% or 4% of the town's housing is truly affordable. If you look at what they can do, because you have all these situations where you're counting all of the rental units, even though they're not all affordable.
Right. Which I never understood that rule since we did it in Marshfield. I couldn't understand how that rule got passed, but whatever. I mean, that's the
Some lobby somewhere, it's just,
somebody wants a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to, work on a project that's going to be acceptable to the community. I think it's a good location. There's not a lot more else that can happen there. I don't know. Has the town started an affordable housing trust?
Yeah,
We do.
Okay. All right.
There might be, I believe there's tax credits available because you're within a mile of the train station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot harder to obtain than you think. I'm doing one right next door to Ashmont Station in Dorchester, and the tax credits are harder to get than you think they are. So they require such a standard of building that it makes it unaffordable overall, and they want you. It's tied into union.
Okay.
So to do a union development, then to be LEED certified when you complete it to get the tax credits. It makes it so that the rent for a 2-bedroom would have to be almost $4,000.
Yeah. Wow.
It doesn't. It sounds great, but it doesn't set the debt. So it's really hard to do.
Yeah. That's not surprising.
No, it never is when it comes to the state.
Yeah.
So, that's the goal that we have, is to try and achieve that 40 bedrooms by doing, I guess, 20. If they're not going to be flexible on the parking at all, we have 47 spots. If it's 2 per unit, we could probably get to 23 units, whether it's a mixtures of 1 and 2s. It sounds like you don't feel like there's any need for studios. And when I think workforce housing, I think there's a lot of single people like teachers or, police or fire guys that, they're by themselves, whether it be divorce or whatever, and they have a need for that kind of housing.
Yeah. So maybe it's 1 bedrooms instead of studios,
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd go towards the 1, 2, or 3 and not so much the studios.
Okay.
And what we've seen in Avalon is, you do get a lot of, nickname of Divorce Hill, but there's usually, if you've been living in Cohasset, there's tends to be kids involved. And so there's the bedrooms for the kids,
Right.
That's at
We-
least what we've seen, you know. Now, that being said, one of the biggest problems we have is there aren't a lot of workforce housing for, say, like Anchor and Sale was having trouble, restaurants are having, you know, trouble. There's no place for, yeah, young single people to easily live here unless they're living with their parents. But from our perspective, I have no idea if they would want it. You know, it's a, that's a, yeah, this is.
Yeah, so the
We would
workforce
love to have
housing,
them, but I don't know that they would want to live here,
Well,
but that's beyond our expertise.
Here's the dilemma you have. Nobody working the line in a restaurant.
Yeah,
Wait staff, bartenders, maybe they can afford even at 1,700 on affordable for
Mm.
one. And if they're a couple, they could definitely do it.
yeah,
But a single person working the line in a kitchen, they can't do that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's unattainable. So if that's where the studio comes in, if it's a guy that's working the line in the kitchen and you're maybe at $1,400, he might be able to swing that. They're making $16 an hour, but that's taking like 33% of their pay
No.
to pay their rent. And the reason I know all these numbers, I'm an investor in 3 restaurants, so I know what the money there is.
and there
I know,
really isn't that community here, right, of those individuals. So it's like, great, you could have a few studios here, but then where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And so I don't know.
Well, you do have an up and coming amount of restaurants, which,
Yeah, sure.
but hopefully
Yeah.
get kids in the town work in those restaurants and they live at home with their parents.
That is exactly who is working there.
yeah, so you know, we talk about workforce housing, you know, there is, you probably know this, the state does have workforce housing, just like they have affordable housing. So the workforce housing is a different percentage of the median income.
Right.
And we looked at some projects for the village with workforce housing, but all of the money from the state dried up pretty fast for workforce housing that they're trying to replenish it for this new budget. I don't know how much of it will get in the new budget, but
Yeah, a lot of it went up the North Shore. A lot of it
yeah,
went.
the one of them that was real successful is in the Quincy shipyard. I forget what it's called. I thought it was the Winston, but NeighborWorks and a number of groups took the old Quincy shipyard office building and converted it.
Yes.
And so a third of it is market, a third of it is workforce, and the other third is affordable 40B.
Nice.
And yeah, they're really nice, and they're sold out, you know. So,
yeah.
But the workforce was the thing that they got in under the radar because they got a lot of funding, state funding for it, and you get a lot of how well they did their tax credits. It's in Quincy, so I'm sure they made sure they qualified for tax credits. But
I know some of the developers involved. They have a good team to get that money out there.
Yeah. But NeighborWorks is pretty good. They're in Quincy, so they do veterans housing as well.
Right.
So they get in. They're a nonprofit, so
they're doing a co-op project with my brother right now.
Okay, yeah, they're really good on the co-op side. Yeah. So they've come to Cohasset a couple times as well. So we tried to engage them for veterans housing, but haven't gotten anywhere yet.
Well, the problem with Cohasset is land acquisition is very high, and then the cost. Like one of the things that put us off building the single families in this lot was the water line was like $85,000 to bring the water down the street.
Yeah.
For 2 homes, that's $45,000 a home, roughly. That was just bringing down the street. That wasn't tying it in. So when you look at that cost, it's like, wow, that's a huge amount. 10% of the budget has to go to just tying in the water for each house. Yeah. That's almost unattainable.
Yeah. And it's $37.5 for sewer hookup. Just if you happen to be on the sewer line.
Yeah, well, there's no sewer down there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we could do a better development.
Yeah.
So if you're close, it may be something we want to look at, but I don't think you have anything down that end of town. I don't know why everyone's that good. And I was living in Situate when it happened. When they put the reactivated the T, that should have been a component, is that you have to put a sewer system in underneath it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, we're having those discussions now in sewer. So,
yeah, it's a challenge, but septic is very bad for the environment.
Yeah,
And-
yeah, and you're in a low-lying area yourself now over there.
Yes. So we know the challenges with septic, and it's really unfortunate that, towns weren't more proactive when that train was going in. And I've
Yeah.
been to meetings for Situate and fighting this, and feel like it's not important. It will be.
Yeah.
So,
It was very short-sighted. When I first moved to town and everyone was in 2000, everybody was so up in arms. And I had come from Long Island, where the closer you were to the train, the better off you were. I
Yeah.
said, you guys are crazy. When the train runs, you're all going to be really happy. And
Yeah.
sure enough, attitudes changed pretty quickly.
Yeah. Now, are you, so the house behind you has just recently been sold?
yes,
And then there's, what, two other abutters then?
there's golf course is one abutter.
Okay,
Then there's a little cape next to me with I don't know the family, but the husband just passed away. And I don't know what her plans are for the house.
okay. Yeah, I was just curious if you are gonna have to talk to the abutters. I don't know how.
Oh, I'm gonna have to talk to them. I mean,
Yeah.
that's critical. But it's a lot easier to talk to them with support from the town than it is without.
Right, right.
I'm sure the people who just paid $1.5 million for the house in the back, or $1.150 whatever they paid, are not going to be too thrilled.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they see the property because there's so many trees in between us and them,
okay.
and they're way up on a hill. I mean, they tower over everything over there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a discussion that has to be had, right? So,
right, right. Yeah. Oh, we'd love to see the affordable housing. I mean, we've got, yeah, quite a number of folks that, want to do affordable housing that have come around, but we haven't seen any shovels in the ground yet. So, we're hopefully, this proposal can happen and we could, get right behind it with you. So we have no problem, supporting the project.
Okay.
I think it would be good.
Yeah,
I think it's the right location for it. It's a challenge there with the train coming in and out. So rentals are probably, people are more adaptable when they're in a rental situation than they are in a home ownership situation.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So now, Mike, do you feel like you have enough feedback to sort of narrow down your proposal and what you want to bring forward?
Yeah, I can get together with Tim Power. I guess I just need a little more. I haven't done this again in 25 years with the state. So I'm not sure that aspect of what I have to do to deal with them. So I just need a little more information on that side. And then that rental chart, so I can structure the unit count the most appropriate way to make the project fundable from our side. I mean, I'd love to do 100% affordable, but I just don't think I can.
Yeah. Any more affordability that you would be willing to do above 25% would be amazing, because that's really, that's what we're seeing, like we've discussed. It's like, we're getting the full count, but we're not really getting it. So, that would be great to have more actual deed restricted units on the books. So I'd be happy to send you the rates that I have for other communities. And then in addition, if you're interested, a lot of what our developers have done in town are partner with, like a housing consultant that does this. They conduct the lottery for the units, and they handle sort of like the state application process. So there's a couple of people that are like reoccurring names that we see partnering with developers in town, if you want that information as well.
Yeah, feel free to send it along. That'll help me expedite this. My engineer who drew this, Tim Power, he has a lot of experience, but it's all the projects in Needham and out that way. And I'd rather work with local people that know the community and are better, at getting their point across in a community.
Yeah.
But the main thing, and if anyone knows who I am from building in Situate, I build really nice stuff, like traditional. I try to keep things fitting in the scheme of the community that they're in. So that's the one of my goals as a builder is try to be responsible to the design of the community. I know you have a mixed bag in Cohasset. There's some really modern stuff, some really traditional stuff, but I think this would be best suited as a traditional project.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think I have enough. I just need that information, and then we'll move forward. We'll start on our rough draft elevations to see if it's acceptable to community.
Okay, great. I'll get that information to you by tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you all for your
Sounds
time.
good. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
That's great.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Cool. All right. Next up on the list is update on pending affordable housing development.
Yes,
808
me.
You have all of them? All right, good.
I have them all. So let me.
I just spoke to Noreen an hour ago, so I might have an update on 808, but I'll let you
Okay,
go.
so I'll save 808 for you then. So One Pleasant Street is moving forward with, they are waiting at this point. As I think I told you last time, the new owner is moving ahead as it was permitted. At this point, they're preparing for their demolition permit, but they have leases through the end of May, I believe. So they need to wait for that to close off before they can then begin demo, but they're preparing and they're getting ready for that. 390 CJC Highway. Last I spoke with John Hallen, they had had their state fire marshal inspection. There was a couple of repairs that needed to be done for the fire sprinkler system, which were underway, and they were also coordinating with the sort of final pieces of the permitting for the trench that they need to access with the state highway for the sewer lines and that sort of utility trench work. But they're moving
Which
forward.
is this one?
390 Chief Justice Cushing Highway.
Stop and shop.
Yes. And then I checked in with, because the application for the Cushing Road 4 units that are off-site in relation to the CHI property redevelopment, that application had been submitted in December, and it typically it's like 2 to 3 months before you hear back from DHCD. I think it had honestly gotten lost in the cracks over there somewhere, but we've recalled it to their attention, and it was going through the final pieces of legal review. They flagged a few items that they wanted the applicant to change in whatever the sort of paperwork was, and they were amenable to that and working through to make sure that those are going to be made. So as soon as that is done, they are ready to put those units on. So that I would imagine happening. Probably those units will be ready for SHI before any of the other ones at this point.
Cool.
So I get a question for 1 Pleasant Street, because they were scheduled to come in front of sewer about a week or two ago, and then they didn't. So I know that it was under the current owner owned it, and the sale was based on all the permits being approved. So did that change? Is it under new ownership and they're pursuing it, or?
I'm not sure exactly as to the status, but I do know that they were ready to still keep moving forward when I got the update for the Affordable Housing Trust. That was last week. So, and I got that update just as of Wednesday. So.
Okay. Yeah. Cause they still have to come in front of sewer, and
yes,
they didn't show up 2 weeks ago. So.
Okay.
I figured something was up.
And then there's one last one. Like I said, I'll let Rob cover 808 Jerusalem Road, but the only other one I wanted to update was 147 South Main. There had been a period of time where there was a concern that their permit had lapsed and that they were no longer eligible for that sort of pre-existing non-conforming use in the residential district. The applicants, through their lawyer, sort of put together this informational summary for John Hallen to work through to prove that they are still eligible. So that they are going to continue to move forward with that project as permitted with the mixed use and the 3 units above. So that's back on track now as well.
Okay, so they're throwing themselves on the mercy of the court.
What's that?
They're throwing themselves on the mercy of the court.
They made their case that they still are eligible for that permit. So we're still moving forward on that.
Is that the one across from St. Anthony's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
and
awesome.
Then the other one in our pipeline is 808 Jerusalem Road. So I'll turn it back to Rob.
Yep. So I just got off the phone with Noreen. They're scheduled to talk to ZBA or present to ZBA tomorrow, I think it is, or this week, for the comprehensive permit. Yeah, they did have a change in their architect left to go to Germany. So they have like a new person that they're dealing with. So that's causing some problems. They want to update it because somebody spelled Cohasset wrong on the submission. So they're trying to get a new good one in and hopefully to get in front of them. The Affordable Housing Trust had reached out to me about maybe if we could guarantee a construction loan, would that, help move things forward? She spoke to the board, Noreen spoke to the board about that. Didn't really, it's like, yeah, they can go get loans now if they want. And, so the discussion I just had with her is like, we want to start doing stuff. Come back to us with what you need in order for that to happen. And I think that the Affordable Housing Trust is definitely getting impatient. with, okay, what is it that we need to do? She goes, and part of it, I do get the sense of that it's a very small organization, and they can only do so many projects at once. So if like I go, it's like, if you tell me, like, if we give you all the money tomorrow and you still can't do it for a year, well, then you're not going to get all the money tomorrow. Like, come up with something that works into your timeline, where you need to get to, and we can figure out how we'll get there. But yeah, this is looking like maybe sometime this year they would potentially put some shovels in the ground, but probably next year at this point. So we'll see.
Does the town buy the gold shovels, or do they buy the gold shovels?
They buy the gold shovels. That's why it's so expensive. And that's Ukrainian gold. So,
Yeah.
We bring the big scissors.
yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
They provide the ribbon.
Yeah.
But
Want to make sure we get it in the town manager's budget, though.
Yeah. So I think the stuff like the comprehensive permit and those types of things, they take time as well, and they are moving forward. So I think that's good. I think the funding of this project, we're going to need to figure out. So I've kind of put that back on Noreen to go, what do you need by when to start doing stuff? And then we can maybe have that as a goal, and we can work with the Affordable Housing Trust on that. Do you have other stuff, Lauren, on that? Sure.
No, that's all I had. And we already talked about 502 North Main, so I'll keep you up to speed as this begins to unfold. But I thought that it was a fitting starting place to start with you, because he really, he needs to work through the specific logistics before we can even start to talk about zoning compliance. So I think that was a helpful conversation.
Yeah, and is everybody here aware of the MBTA thing that he's mentioning?
Yeah,
I know Lauren, but
Lauren brought it up in one of the meetings. I can't remember what meeting I attended that she said that. But I had several people ask me about it, saying, have you heard about this new law that we have to build 700 affordable housing units by next week? And I'm like, yeah. I said, well, we're kind of in line with all the other towns to complain about it. So
yes. So I can give you some more background, and again, forgive me, because I've talked about it in a lot of meetings now, so I don't even know where. But where it stands is what, for our temporary compliance by May 2nd, we needed to do 3 things. One was have an informational meeting with our select board, update our GIS maps, and submit a community information form, all 3 of which are done. What we also opted to do was by the comment period, because actually, let me take a step back. So there's a state law that's already enacted. It's this new section, it's not in the top of my brain right now, but the state law specifically has, the parameters of how you come into compliance for MBTA communities. And then DHCD was charged with creating the regulations that are like the script of how you come into compliance, which added much more than the law did. And then the way that it's framed right now, to make a long story short, for multiple reasons, doesn't make sense for our community, doesn't make sense for a lot of communities. So what I've heard through my peers and, different community legislators, there has been a lot of significant comment and feedback that they received, because they were receiving, comments on their draft guidelines through the end of March. We submitted a letter on behalf, signed by the select board, that sort of outlined the 2-page, and I believe I sent it around, and if I didn't.
Yeah, you did. Okay. It was good. Yeah.
So that was what was sent in. And I think what I've sort of heard is that while we share different concerns with, we were kind of in a little bit of an island, because, for example, if you think about our immediate neighbors, Hull, Hingham, Situate, they are a different community makeup. They've got more MBTA stations to spread this out around. They have more of this sort of, the infrastructure, there's all this sort of piece of it. So we were concerned for a bit, but then I spoke with Joan Machino directly, and I've spoken with, the South Shore Chamber of Commerce and different peers through our regional planning agency, but this is echoed throughout the Commonwealth. So we're sort of in a holding pattern right now. We have our temporary compliance that we needed to meet by May 2nd. We're already ahead of that game. And then we're sort of in a waiting pattern to see what DHCD does in response to all the comments that they got during their comment period. I would be very surprised if they don't make any changes at all. I think that everyone's of the same mind that there will be some sort of change to these regulations that will be more tangible for communities to come into compliance, because I think the overwhelming sentiment was, yes, I think for the most part, communities in this, are looking to expand affordable housing, or, any kind of diversity of housing, but this needs to change in the way it is. So, we just can't do this bar is set too high. So I will keep you updated as to when and if we hear anything from DHCD, but at this point, what the next step would be, pending any changes to the draft regulations, is that we, at least by the end of this calendar year, if they couldn't proceed with the regulations as were stated, we would need to at least have an action plan for how we would come into compliance because we're a commuter rail community, we need to adopt zoning by the end of 2024. So we have time, and by the end of this calendar year, it would just be, we plan to study the feasibility in XYZ. So it's not like we're seeing any zoning changes immediately, or, we're not even talking about what the zoning solution would be. It's just a matter of, we've got a lot of planning to do between now and 2024. If this, I'm sure, like I said, that I'm subject to change as DHC unpacks all of the comments that they got. So more to come.
What's the third thing you had to do? You said something about update maps.
So one was you had to hold the seminar with the public meeting with the select board, which we did in March. One was update GIS maps, which is our online mapping parcels.
Yep.
We did that. And then the other thing was just to submit a community information form, which I did.
Oh, okay. I didn't know I thought I heard forum, and I thought, it seems premature to have a community forum for something that we haven't even got regulations finalized
Yes,
yet.
no, just a
Thank you.
form, just an online form, which I filled out. So.
Yeah, and I think, a couple of people have come to me. I think part of it is like, there's nothing saying these things have to be affordable, so it's like, it's not, and as written, my guess is we just wouldn't do it, which would mean you wouldn't have access to certain funds, but we're not going to put 750 units within a half mile of the train station. It's just, there's zero chance of that happening.
We don't have the land or the infrastructure to do it.
Yeah. So, everybody going crazy about, we have to build 750 units. Like, that's just not going to happen. So
No.
we can't build one freaking unit in 9 years on 808 Jerusalem. I don't think we're going to build 750 on the corner of Forest and Maine. It's like, come on. It's like, this is silly. So, I think with a lot of this, it's like, yes, it's good to be aware. We see how fast things move in government. It's the real regulations, God knows when they're really going to come out. And yeah,
It'll take them 10 years to find out we're non-compliant.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not, it might be, you can't apply for it, or when you apply for it, you have to apply for an exception. Okay, fine, we're gonna apply for an exception. It's like, I would be shocked if it doesn't change. And
Well, someone also made a really good point to me, and they were saying that, like, the amount of time, first of all, it took them 9 months to write the draft regulations as they stand today.
Yeah.
It's going to take them, I don't even know how long to unpack this, but also at some point, we're going to have a change in administration at the state level in the near future. And someone was like, who knows if whoever comes in after this, if this will even be a priority and they'll continue to move this forward, I was I didn't even think of it like that, but.
Yeah, but Charlie Baker's second term, his whole agenda was focused on affordable housing. So
he's almost done. So
Right.
Oh yeah, he's almost done. So
so I wouldn't lose to, I think it's nice that this guy is thinking about this stuff, but if he thinks that the zoning laws are going to change quickly in Cohasset, he's wrong. Right? It's like, it's nothing happens. It might change, but nothing happens quickly. That's so. That's the one thing I've learned over the past 5 years or whatever on this board. Nothing happens quickly.
To say the
To
least.
go back to 808, can we offer them something like cash to get a consultant to get some of this paperwork done or anything like that? Is that something we can do, or I don't know?
but that's on the agenda. That's on the agenda.
Where is that?
Affordable housing consulting update.
Well, I meant for just for your Habitat to get somebody to help move their piece along. That's just my
Yeah, I don't get the sense that that's what's stopping them from moving forward.
Yeah.
It's like they're submitting. I mean, yeah, they had a change in architects, but they're submitting the comprehensive permits and stuff that they're supposed to. This is more about they only have so many people that, coordinate building houses, it's like, so they can do 1 to 2 projects at a time. That's it.
The other thing is they also were in the midst of moving their actual like headquarter office on the
Yeah.
South Shore this month. So it's just, I just know that they've been crazy. Poor Noreen came in to submit her application and she was just like, you could tell it was just like so many things going on at once. But they're queued up to start before the zoning board. And, in terms of the paperwork and the application, DHCD said they've got their eligibility to move forward. So the next piece is the zoning board piece of it.
Cool.
And they have their information in to start that.
All right. Next item was town-owned land review. So do we have or did both of the properties make it onto the town warrant?
Yes, there was a favorable vote from both the select board. I believe the select board was unanimous and the advisory committee was, I want to say like 7 in favor, 1 abstention, but favorable votes to recommend to town meeting that they move forward to place those 2 parcels into the trust.
Oh, good.
So annual
Is
town
it?
meeting is May 2nd at the high school. It is in person. So for all of you residents, mark your calendars.
For some reason, I had May 4th on here, which is a Wednesday. So it is Monday to May 2nd.
Yes,
Hey, when is the town election? Is that May 14th?
that is, I have it on my calendar. That sounds right. It's a Saturday. Yes.
Yeah.
May 14th.
Okay.
Vote for Paul Kears on any open slot, just put his name in there.
Yeah, well, we have a horse race. We have 4 people running for selectmen with 2 open seats.
I
Yeah,
thought
so-
it was 5 actually.
Which
Oh, is there 5? Did Fran Collins throw his hat in?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I thought he already withdrew, no?
I
That was
maybe don't
last
have the
time.
latest.
That was last year. Last year, he signed up and then withdrew.
Who are the 2 open seats? I know Jack Creighton. Who's the other one?
Carrie Thompson,
Is she running again?
no.
She has had enough of the goodwill of the community and her. She's been on, I think, twice, right? 6 years.
Should be 6. Yeah. Or was it 1 or 2 twice?
No, I think
Just 3?
she only did 1 term because
One
she
term, really?
she
She
came
was
in
kind of a
shortly.
last minute name, and got kind of voted in last minute, but yeah, I don't.
Oh, yeah, Jack Connolly dropped out. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So who are the other people? I know Jack's running, then there's 3. Oh, you're saying 4 other people that
The
are,
5 candidates that I knew who pulled papers for select board were Jack Creighton running for re-election, Paul Grady, who's actually from the planning board currently, Paul Legel,
Yep.
Helene Lieb, and Fran Collins.
Yep.
Eileen's on the advisory, right?
yeah,
Helene is, yeah,
Helene,
Helene's on advisory. She's been on every committee. She's a social service league too.
So yes, it's quite the race.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know, somebody was doing a forum, I think, candidates forum at the Lightkeepers Inn, if I remember correctly, but we used to
I
do
haven't
one,
started
man.
to see lawn signs yet though, so I'm sure those are coming
Yeah.
soon.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Unlike the school committee, which has 1 candidate for 2 positions.
oh,
I did write on that one. It's like, oh, you mean people don't want to be hated by half the town, no matter what they do? It's like,
I know, yeah, exactly, yeah.
no matter what
Yeah.
you do, half the people are going to say that you hate children and you want to kill them. So it's
Yeah.
like fun stuff. All righty. So town on land, we're moving forward. Thank you, Mary, and Lauren for all the work on that. One of those would turn into another project most likely, and one of those might just sell outright. But that would be, we'll see if that gets passed. With any of these, what could happen is you could have a few abutters come and just really push. I'll be there and I can kind of bring up, and support for it if it needs to be talked to. I do not plan on speaking if nobody says anything, because we find a lot of these things just sail through. I don't want to stir the pot if it's not needed, but if it's needed, there to talk about it. The Affordable Housing Trust meeting update, I did not go, so I have no idea. Did you go, Lauren?
I was there, yes, and
How was it? Yeah, you get to
It
go to
was-
all the meetings now that Jen is gone, right?
I get to go to a lot of meetings, yes. It was fine. I'm trying to think of anything new and noteworthy that, no, I mean, nothing particularly to add. They're just sort of planning on what's next down the pipeline, a communication strategy plan, trying to think of alternate funding mechanisms. So more, similar to this group, doing some more fiscal year, next year planning.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them to be the next, a mini mass development. You know who mass development is, Lauren?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Ted's very familiar with mass development.
I am
Ted Carr,
trying
yeah.
to, like, I have been going back and forth with Ted. We were supposed to talk to the HCD about the town, like the quasi town-owned properties and how we can get them deed restricted. Been playing a bunch of email tag, but I'll continue to work on that.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this aspect of it because we need a couple of liquidity events, for lack of a better term. That piece on 808 was just kind of thrown together, and we had to hurry up and get the trust activated. So we were doing like 5 things at the same time. So now that the trust is fully vested and has trustees, this will be really our first main transaction of transferring from the town to the trust.
Yeah. neat.
Something tangible that we can all understand, because there are other areas in town that can be transferred and developed once we see how this process goes. We take these small little bites,
Yeah.
and people get used to it. They're not, scared of the unknown. Once it happens, I think we'll be fine. And once we build 808, we'll get that transaction under our belt and say, okay, look, we've learned how to transaction with the trust for properties, and it wasn't the end of the world. And we got CPC money, and that wasn't the end of the world. And we built a house, and that wasn't the end of the world. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, because the town does have a couple of more larger properties that can be transferred that could develop more than 5 or 7 properties on it. So.
All righty. Consultant update. What's that?
That was, I believe it was actually the update that we've been speaking to. We had been reaching out to, I think Maureen O'Hagan was one of them, MCO Housing, to help with the deed restricting of the property. So that was related to the update that you just spoke about.
Gotcha. We're good there. All right. What do we want to do in 2023? I guess fiscal year 2023 starts in July.
July 1.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we just change the goals from 22 since where they met in 22? I haven't looked at our 22.
I think we've done everything. Yeah, we said we've added no affordable housing units to the to the
Housing stock.
Yeah, housing stock. Creating a 15-year consecutive.
That's great.
But we have raised awareness.
Well,
That's something that
We have a lot in the hopper. We have a lot. It's like
a lot of
any day
awareness.
now. There's going to be like 47 units. That are going to go on the
Wait. Yeah, we get CJC over the finish line, right?
CJC, One Pleasant, North Main. Yeah, there's a lot that are right there. But yeah, maybe for 2023, we hope that something actually happens.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think, I think that would be it. I think, the goal, I think, is to, for 2023, obviously, moving forward with actually, I think the goal should be identifying and supporting the occupancy permit process for who's ever close to getting occupied, so that we could get out those giant scissors. So, I don't know how we want to quantify that goal, but I know that like CJC, he's definitely going to do something in 23. They've got, Mass DOT is approving, running the sewer line down 3A, and they're going back and forth on, where exactly do you put it kind of thing. So, we know it's going to eventually happen. So, what is it going to take I know he's doing a temporary hookup to the septic at Stop and Shop for the ability to open the units, Lauren,
Mhm. Okay.
is right. So, you know, he's gonna have to get an occupancy permit for that at some point. So that'll be probably closer. So I don't know. I'd like to see our goals to be, you know, getting to the point where we could help get some occupancy permits rolling, since the projects that have been identified and we've identified town land to move to the trust. I suppose we can continue doing that. But, you know, we're going to have to fundraise for 808.
Some point, yeah.
So I suppose we have time to kick around our goals because we have to make the decision by July 1.
Yeah.
Can selling the, one of the properties, can that fund, can that contribute to 808 legally?
Well, the trust can do whatever they want with the money once the
Okay.
trust has the ability to do anything. And then, so that's where it's like, what I was kind of pushing on Noreen is like, they're not just going to give you a check. You need to present, you know, what you want. You know, it's like, I'm telling you what they want. They want you to put shovels in the ground. So if you say you need X dollars to put shovels in the ground, they have funding. They can do that. But without the ask, you know, you're not gonna get anything. But I think they like after they're moving money again, and well, there's on the annual meeting, there's move more money. They'll have close to what, 800,000, $1 million in there. So they've got plenty of money. Like if they sell a property, they'll have more money. You know, it's like, and I guess that's one of the things that they would ask from us is, okay, now that they have all this money, what should they do with it? And I think that's the thing with so in addition to, okay, we've got these things that we're working on, trying to get something over the line. Now that we have a bunch of money, what's the best way to, you know, I mean, not that we have to solve that today, but that's probably something we want to think about for a full fiscal year 23 is coming up with some ideas for them on what to do with it.
Yeah, I guess they're going to look at the best return on investment for them, you know, how much money, you know, how many dollars equal a unit. So, and Habitat comes with better opportunities and funding mechanism from their side as well. So I'm not too worried about 808.
Would we do the same process for Mill Lane, the, you know, get an RFP from a from Habitat or developer and then go through the same process?
That is an option
Okay. What would be another option?
to sell it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you could put it out to bid, highest bidder, sort of like a value auction if you wanted. You could, but if you wanted to go out to RFP for development purposes, like we did with 808 Jerusalem Road, that's also an option.
Okay. Thanks.
No problem. I have something that may be of interest to all of you. I recently met, and I know this won't be super out of left field for Paul and Beth, but I met with Nancy LaFosse and via phone because I didn't realize that Nettie left to go back to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But we spoke with them about, I know that they had reached out to us when I was new here, sort of like inquiring about master plan and how the dovetail might be between the housing goals and different things between what their initiative on age and dementia friendly Cohasset. And I know, you know, Nettie sort of explained that it kind of got put on hold when they were doing their redirecting all the services during COVID to the different programs that Elder Affairs does. Now they're really looking back on making that action plan, and they were reaching out for some feedback. One of the things that they were inquiring about was accessory dwelling units. And I think knowing that there's support there, we have support in town, that's something that we know our accessory dwelling unit bylaw needs more work. So I think if that's something that this group sort of wants to put also back on our priority goal, I think that's going to help us sort of get that through the finish line of some zoning changes. You know, ultimately it requires working with the planning board for a zoning adoption change. But if we know that there's voices in the room who want to talk about that topic, then I think that's helpful. So I thought that was interesting that Elder Affairs brought that back to our attention because it's something that's on the very big radar, but if there's a little bit more priority emphasis on something like that, then we can put more attention to that.
Yeah, so Beth is on Elder Affairs with us as well. She's on our
Yes.
board. And of course, Mary Hines, her husband, Rich, is on the board as well. So we
Okay,
have-
I didn't realize that. So you're all familiar with this
Yeah,
then?
we're all familiar with it. So we're going after national certification and accreditation for our senior center. Hingham, I think, is there's only a handful of them in Massachusetts. Hingham is one of them that is certified. We already went after being age-friendly and dementia-friendly town. The selectmen signed the, the big decree and all this stuff. And so once you do all of that, they say, gee, that's great. So what have you done to actually do something, right, Rob? What have you actually done to put in affordable housing? So now they're asking the question a year or two later. Okay, that's nice. Everyone's excited, but have you done anything? Did you put in a sidewalk with ramps? Did you, what did you do to help make things friendly? So that's where we're at, and we're having to put some things together now. A lot of the things they're asking are things that we have to do. Sometimes they ask if you have these things in your town, it just helps elevate your ability to achieve your accreditation. So these are kind of some of those things in that area where, how friendly are you kind of town? If you have accessory dwellings, if the answer is no, we're never going to do it, then we say, no, we're never going to do it. We're moving on. We just have to do more work in other areas in order to qualify. So that's kind of where we're at with all of that. So, but, it's kind of funny because I did say that to a couple of the selectmen because we're trying to get a new wheelchair van, and capital budget saying they don't have the money. And I'm like, okay, well, you're going to spend 2 million somewhere, or $1.4 million, right? So, but not on a wheelchair van. But and I did remind them that, they signed this letter and it went to the state, and they're saying, what have the selectmen done? What has the town done? And I said, well, if you gave us a van that allows people with disabilities access to the rest of the town, that actually satisfies that requirement. So if you get us a wheelchair van, we can do that. So,
Well
you know what I
done,
mean?
Paul.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with this. But, to Lauren's point, though, I think, looking at the goals for next year, we might want to tackle, one tough thing and a couple easy things. One tough thing would be bylaws, I think. I know, Lauren, when you first started, I was kind of going through those with Clark, and I was working with Mass Housing to try and qualify for a grant. And they're saying, hey, all your bylaws don't say this or that, so you wouldn't qualify. And we never got back to looking at those to say, do we want to change them, or we would just never qualify? So why move forward with those kind of bylaws? I don't know if planning does that on a regular basis or not, but I know they got beat up on the last town meeting we had.
Yeah, so we're definitely looking at zoning. There's a lot of, I think, opportunity. I think the accessory dwelling piece, because we know there's a comprehensive sort of zoning topic discussion coming. But I think accessory dwelling unit is concrete enough that it's one article special permit process. If we tailor attention specifically to that, let's move that forward while we wait for all of the other pieces to come together.
Does it, if I remember correctly, when we first started this 7-8 years ago, I thought accessory dwellings were going to hurt our numbers. And maybe not now that we understand it better, maybe because the dwelling, I thought, was described as having to have a kitchen and a bathroom, right? In the same living unit.
If accessory dwellings are considered independent units, they will increase our denominator, thus meaning,
Yeah.
so for every, 10 accessory dwelling units, we need another affordable housing unit.
Yeah.
For every 9, we need one, sorry.
So I guess it's, I don't know how we define accessory dwelling unit. Is it the definition that would force the count towards affordable housing?
Yeah,
Or
I don't know the specifics
I mean,
actually, but these are
is an
great
in-law,
points.
is an in-law apartment the same as an accessory dwelling unit, you know? That's what I'm trying to figure out, because if you're sharing the same kitchen and bathroom, you just have a different part of the house you're living in. Maybe people think that's accessory dwellings or not. I don't know.
Yeah, my understanding is accessory dwelling as defined would be something that is a separate dwelling that could be rented, out. So if you have an official accessory dwelling, you're legally allowed to rent that as its own standalone unit. And it has to have standalone kitchen and bathroom. If you just add something that you shares the bathroom and stuff like that, then you're just increasing the footprint of your house. You're not. That's my understanding.
My sister-in-law added an in-law for her parents, and they were very restrictive to make sure that it was going to be only for in-laws and not a rentable unit. And she did it's a beautiful 1-bedroom apartment, really, onto her house. But they were like, you don't think you're ever going to rent this. This is only an in-law, a relative situation.
So how is that? Yeah, I don't know how planning or zoning controls that, or
I think they
monitors,
restricted it or something like that.
something like that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was something, then she said, yeah, they were very specific, but.
So there's not a separate entrance then, right?
Oh, it does. It has its own garage.
Really?
It has its own, it's beautiful. Has its own
Wow.
entrance. Yeah. I mean, it could be a wonderful rental unit, but they
Yeah.
were saying, I don't know, I can ask her again, but they, I know they were very specific, like this isn't going to be a rental unit. This is only for your parents or a family
Yeah.
member.
Yeah, I guess we really have to have like an educational forum on it, really, for the public, as long as, including myself, probably a couple of times for it to sink in, to understand what it exactly is, and more importantly, what it isn't.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I don't even know that the town really knows, like
Yeah.
we talked about before, there's tons of them that are kind of under the radar, and it's like, don't ask, don't tell.
Well, it's like an enforcement nightmare too, because it's like, how do you enforce that people can't rent it? Like, it's a private agreement, it's like, we're not good. What are we going to be like, go over their DNA sampling people? It also comes into a tricky area because like, it's getting into even more of this gray area of regulation, because it's like, how is the town to determine what a family is?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, it has a lot of, it gets hairy. So right now, I mean, we just know that we have this bylaw. There's only, in the past 20 years at this point that it's been in existence, we've only seen 2 actually get permitted. So, it's not being used. And if people are creating these, they're figuring out another workaround. But I think it's worth at least having more of a conversation, and I'd be happy to get some more information for us to take a look at this as we start to look at this more.
I don't know what else. I don't know. Are there any other bylaws that we want to take a look at that's specific to affordable housing? I know we never came up with or maybe we did, with the math formula, or what we were going to do for in-kind rather than putting actual homes in. I know we kicked that
Payment
around.
in lieu for affordable
Yeah,
units.
yeah. Maybe we want to finally lock that down somehow. We're going to forever have that. We're going to forever have that question.
To have actual numbers and stuff like that. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, I know we went, the last conversation we had, there was some town that had a number. Because I know that was something that we potentially were going to use as a tool to help, move some property into that column.
The research I did, there's several different ways to do it, but it seemed to me, after looking at what Alexis from MAPC gave me, is that it's probably in our best interest to just come up with the flat rate that the other towns are doing. I think Newton and so forth. There's I don't have the thing in front of me, but EOCD puts out something every year, and most towns use it. I think it's at 350,000 now for a suburban location. And I just think we could come up with a different way of doing it. But I think the higher we make it, the less the higher we make it, that still reflects sort of the state of the art or the normal computation, encourages the developer not to try to do in lieu of, but so this was like 350,000. I thought Susan talked to Ted from Cohasset Hospitality, and they thought, I think they thought a similar amount of money was what they were expecting. But anyway, there's a 2-page email I sent if somebody needs it again. To me, the decision seemed pretty clear. That it takes a lot of the effort off of us if we just go by what EOCD puts out every year, and that I think it's Newton and somebody else were cited as examples that use it. So I think it was the second option in my email.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'd like that to be one of our goals, is to really clean that language up. And Lauren, I don't know what your thoughts are from what you do for a living, but if I remember correctly, there were like 3 or 4 little, 1 or 2 sentence items in our bylaw that when I went through trying to get that housing choice grant, they cited a couple of them a couple of years ago when you started.
I do remember there's a couple items that seemed like really easy fixes, but I think the implications of what it would actually do, because for example, one of the things that I remember we got points off for was that we don't allow, for example, multifamily by right. And it's like, that seems like a simple zoning change, but then you're unlocking the floodgates to no oversight between, zoning permitting boards. So it's like, there's our policy decisions. Some of them were not quick fixes, but I'll go back through my emails. I'll take a look what I can find. I'll find Mary's email again. And the other thing I want to recirculate was we had participated in MAPC's South Shore. It started off as Living Little, and then they changed the name of it. It was like South Shore Housing Options Study. And that actually, they did put together a report in which they look at Cohasset and they compare different communities. And it was actually a very kind of comprehensive report. I think it's like a 140-page document. And it kind of got lost in the midst of the pandemic, I think. But I'd like to give some more attention to that too, because it does point out some things that, we may want to address this year as well. So I'll recirculate that as well.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
Just on the, you're moving on to the administrative side,
Unless anybody else, anything else on the
goals.
side? They seem like good goals. I'll try to write them down and send them out. And actually have minutes for this meeting.
Yeah, I think some of the bylaws I think would be well worth it. We've been talking about it for a while, so. And whatever we recommend or try and suggest, it's got to go through planning anyway.
Yep.
So.
We got bylaws, trying to get actual units, and what to do with all the money. Basically our goals.
Yep.
All right, I like it. Or when's our whatchamacallit our terms?
That's a good question. I will find out.
Not that I'm looking for anything out or anything like that.
I will find out.
What
And then
was
we'll
the-
determine if you need to be reappointed or what the status is.
I was asking when our terms are up.
Yeah, so I think we're in our, let's see, we did 6, right?
It's been a lot.
Well, we're at the end of our 6th.
I think we might be near the end. So we
Yeah.
might need recruitment, as part of this, if people
Yeah.
decide that they don't.
I think we have another year to go. Another year to go before we're up.
That's what you're hoping.
I think it's 2023.
Uh,
And we
I'll
asked,
find out what the official appointments are from Tracy Connors.
yeah, we
Circle
we
back.
did talk to the selectmen about trying to change the fact that all of us are up on the same day.
Yeah.
We were trying to do that, two every year or up, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they had a hard time doing math. So they would have to make somebody a 1-year appointee. And then when that's up, make it a 3-year, so that it would go into that rotation. That's how at Elder Affairs, we have 3 people up every year for a 3-year term. So our 12 people rotate on an even keel. So we never really have big downturn.
We also,
And
I
then-
know we're gonna need to get you a new planning board representative because Paul Colery's term is up and he's not rerunning.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna ask you about that, yeah, because we lost Peter. And Peter was doing master planning stuff for us too, so we had some insight there, and we don't have Paul on planning, so. And I think that seat is dictated by the select board anyway, so.
So how many are we supposed to have these days? 7?
Yes,
7.
you still have Jen Carpenter as like the reverse liaison to MPIC. I
Yep.
believe that they actually, they may have appointed her for a seat on this. I'm not sure. I will find out where all the terms lie and we'll figure out what
Yeah.
vacancies we have.
Okay. Yeah, we're 7. I think there's 4 of us that are just General Joes, and then 3 were from other boards.
Gotcha. So, yeah.
'Cause Susan, I think, is an appointed liaison for the Housing Authority,
Yes, she is.
even though she's not on the Housing Authority board, but she's their
Right.
appointed liaison, yeah.
So we have Susan's, so there's 4 of us, Susan's 5, planning board is 6. Are we open? Do we have one completely open seat? Or I
No,
missed-
that's Jim Carpenter's daughter.
Yes, that's Jen Carpenter,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
don't
She
know
counts
if
as one
that's
of our
like the air
7?
quotes that she just
Oh,
comes
okay.
to our meeting or
Okay.
if she's
Yeah.
actually an appointed member.
I think she's an appointed member. We had, yeah, I think we had 4 open to the public seats, and unless, no, Beth, you're filling the Elder Affairs, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're right. So it's 3 open to the public and 4 appointed.
All right, any other business that we did not anticipate in 24 hours? I don't have any minutes for us to approve.
I anticipated something 52 hours ago, so that doesn't count.
That doesn't count. No, sorry. Way too long ago. Anything else?
No, so
I'm good.
Let's let Lauren try to get home at a reasonable time. Yeah.
Actually,
Motion.
I'm
to-
home already, so.
I was just gonna say, I
That's
think
good.
she's home. I see some nice curtains in the back.
Well, I haven't been to the town hall in a while. I thought.
Yeah.
Decorated.
When I'm at town hall, I have like a wall of paper and like rolled up plans behind me. I need to do
Yeah.
some organizing.
All they did was paint it for the 250th, okay?
And they used whiteout, not, real paint.
May 17th is the next meeting?
Yep.
Wait, no, I think it's May 19th.
Okay, on the bottom of the agenda then as well.
Did I say it wrong? No, wait, I'm just getting confused and you're correct. That's because today's the 19th. There we go. I knew the 19 is in my brain for a
Right,
reason.
okay,
May 17th is our next meeting, yes.
another Tuesday at 4:30. I mean,
Yes.
4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, yep.
All righty.
Okay.
Lauren, can you hang on for a second? I just had a quick question.
Sure.
Election. All right, so Tuesday town meeting, the 2nd. The 14th is the election. The 17th is our next meeting.
Next week.
Remember, vote for Paul Coyers, even though he's
Yeah.
not on the ballot. It's like,
He'll get a write-in and become the new elected planning board member.
Yeah.
Is there anybody running for that? Yeah, there's somebody running for that, right?
There's someone running for the full seat. We have an associate member seat opening that's no one's run for.
What is Paul Grady? Is he an elected seat?
He's an elected seat, so if Paul Grady goes to select board, then we will be down another planning board seat because Eric Potter's seat and Paul Colery's seats are up on planning board. I don't think that you can serve on select board and planning board at the same time, but I don't know for sure.
You can't. How many votes do you need to get in? Is there like a minimum requirement? Like if I can get 10 of my friends, can I get it?
I think there is a minimum number of voters. I don't know the answer to it, but I think I'm pretty sure Tom Callahan on a write-in campaign got a full member seat by like 40 votes. Like
Yeah.
it's not a very large number.
All right. I'll
So
let you
Paul,
guys
watch
know how
out.
many friends.
Yeah.
gonna get
Well,
everybody
are you
Rick Paul's
ser-
name
Are you
and
serious,
everything.
Rob? I mean, that's how I think she got elected to the select board, was sort of a last minute, everyone write my name in,
Yeah,
it
Diane
does
Kennedy
happen.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard because they used to make stickers to put on the ballot, so you didn't have to write it in, but the stickers come up the machines last go around, so they were
Oh.
frowning upon that,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So people would hand out stickers, you just sticker it to the ballot.
Yeah, I think I might wait till the last second to put my name in for one of them. And, but it's like, I want to see if anybody else, I don't want to compete with anybody. I want this to be completely uncontested. So if anybody else puts their hat in the ring, it's like, all right, you can have it. It's like, I like
Yeah.
the school board one. That should be fun. Have enough people hate me now. So it's like, that's good. All right.
Yes.
Okay,
Everybody in favor of, leaving? Aye.
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 All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Take care now. We'll see you later.
Okay.